Hey everybody, we are here at the Shade Tree Yacht Club, and we are going to add another 30 something inches to the back of this, are the two outer holes. And the reason we're doing that is because when the center hole on that, where there's no flotation back there because it's only like this wide, so it's only just a little narrow thing and there's no flotation. So when you put all the power on it, it digs in and starts going like that. The back end won't go up because there's just no flotation back there, or there's no surface. So my guess is that I can add, and I'm adding 30 inches, that's 33 inches, 36 inches, whatever I ultimately do. I've got some sheets of plywood on the way, but I got to calculate and see how much. I got 2 sheets of plywood, so I got to see what lengths I can do with that amount of materials on both of these holes. So basically, we are just making 2 kind of boxes. They're going to connect the bottom. Of course, this is the boat's upside down, so the bottom of the bottom piece of wood, these are of course the chines or the runners or the ribs or the strakes, whatever you want to call them, but we're going to cut them off right here. Cut this one, just shave it down flat here, shave this one down flat, shave this one down flat. We're going to take a piece of plywood. I've modeled some patterns here, and we're basically going to put it like that. So we'll have plywood here, and plywood here, and plywood here, and plywood here, and then this strake will be cut off, so all this will lay down flat, and we'll have a solid flat mount, flush mount all the way across here for strength. So hopefully you get that. Cardboard's kind of flimsy, so it's not going to be like that. I could have done it like that, but then it's hard to seal these areas here because it cuts off there. So it's easier to just slide it up. This is about 1 foot, I believe. And then we'll cut 6 inches off of each of these chines, and we'll have a solid 6-inch strip across here. And on the side, we're going to come in here. And I'm kind of close to the boat, but kind of what you got. And again, we're upside down, so the side obviously is the box on the back is going to be the depth of this last step here. See, step 6, 7 inches, 7 inches roughly, 8, maybe 8, and it's going to come out like, I got a bunch of stuff on this, on all my little example pieces here. So it's going to come out basically like that. It's going to attach to it's just going to lay flat on that step back there. It's going to lay flat on that step and be attached to it, nailed and epoxied into there. And then this is obviously going to extend back however many, 30 inches-ish coming back here. And of course we'll have the sides coming out here. Again, I can't zoom out anymore, but the sides will come back over. It's just basically a rectangular box we're attaching to the back of the boat. It'll be sealed. Water won't go into it. It won't be opened. It won't be like a place where you can put anything inside. It's just going to be like an air box. And just at the back of this, to keep the back from just, it just drops in. Plus all the weight is at the back too. So I'm at the back. My wife's at the back. If my buddies go fishing, they're kind of at the back. Our engines are at the back. We got our gas tanks and all that is at the back. So we got 1,000 pounds sitting at the back of the boat, roughly 500 to 1,000 pounds sitting at the back of the boat, pushing it down where there's minimal distance for the flotation. So anyway, we're hoping this works. It's a theory. I'm just trying it and hoping it works. We'll have like a sugar scoop, like on the big catamarans, be a big long 3 foot, 2.5 foot, not 3 foot, because it'll come all the way from this step here. It'll come all the way from this step all the way out. So you'll have this distance from here to here, if you can see that. And again, we're upside down, so everything is kind of weird on your brain and eyes. And I got to figure out what to do with this trim work on the side. If I work around it or if I cut it off, just like I'm cutting off these. I'm about to cut these off too. I got to get the electrical here and get my saber saw. I'm just going to lay my saber saw down and slice it as deep as that blade will slice. It'll be about a 4-inch slice, and then I'll have to use my grinder and do the last 2 inches. And so these guys will be gone. So let me get busy with that. Hopefully you kind of grasp what I'm up to. I have a hard time. If I was watching this, I wouldn't understand it, but maybe you guys do. So anyway, we'll be back with more from my Paradise on Medallion Island. Making her longer, keeping that butt from dragging around or dragging in the ocean, dropping down. You've seen on those, a lot of the new boats, they're putting little extension boxes on both sides of the outboard to kind of work this same thing, to just kind of get them up on plane faster and have a little more flotation at the back where all the weight is. So anyway, Paradise out. All right, everybody, as you see, I'm chopping the back of these strakes off because I'm going to have plywood solid across here and then fingers of plywood going up here just to strengthen this. I'm debating whether I should just cut them all off and do the plywood all the way up about 1 foot. But for now, I'm starting with this. You can see I took my angle grinder because it's hard to saw. There's a bronze nail, by the way, but they're soft. You can cut those with a regular handsaw and easily a grinder and a chisel too if you don't check your edge. So anyway, what I'm doing, I'm slicing these like this, and then I'm chiseling up. Well, I'm actually sawing in from the side at an angle like this on this side and this like this side, and then I'm popping these up as I go. And I'll every now and then come in and go from this side, try to get some of that out. So it's a neater, cleaner cut. It's the chisel. We'll do a little bit of a rough cut, and that's not bad because that's where epoxy can grab too. So I'm not going to complain about that. But you can see the stages. This one's completely not finished because I got to grind this down smooth because the surface has to be flat. And then this one, I still got to knock this one out, chisel this additional chunks of wood out. See right here, you just peel them off. And this one, I got to do all the sections right there. Okay, everybody, we got this far done. Look at that. We got the back cut off here. I don't know if the lighting is kind of bright, but anyway, so I cut those off. Oh, that white, it's just over bright. But anyway, we cut those off, ground them off with the grinder, ground them down flush, smooth. And you can see, because when you get through the wood here, you get to the epoxy. Then when you get through the epoxy, then you get to the plywood under it. So that's how you know you're working through the layers. Okay, folks, we're into the daring part now where we're actually cutting this, and you can't uncut a piece of wood. So your measurements and everything had better be good, and all your markings had better be good. So right now, I'm gonna go to town and cut these out here, all these, and then at that point, we're gonna have to move this boat forward because the distance between here and that tree is about 2 feet. Well, I got 3 feet here, so I gotta push the nose of the boat up in the corner here between those trees and this rock wall thing, and then we'll have the distance back here to lay it all out and work on it. So Paradise out, cutting it, moving the boat first. Paradise out that hole. Okay, folks, look at what we got here. Ta-da! It's all trimmed and cut and fits. And again, anything that is less than perfect, you just fill it with epoxy. Just like Bondo in a car wreck. This is not a car wreck. This is a boat. So we got her all lined up. If we have these lines here, these blue lines there, lined up all, then this edge here is straight going out 1 inch. which is about the same as that front fin, a little bit less, probably the inside of that little trim on that front fin. So both of these line up straight so that the back is not going like that or like that. It's straight in line with the hull. So that's our plan. That's the way it better work. Okay, so this looks extremely long to me. However, it will work extremely well once it's all said and done. So anyway, we will get busy now on the side. We have to do the sides now, and that's a tricky part there, because that involves me cutting that molding, that little S-shaped molding trim on the rear there, shaving it off, shaving it flush to the side of the boat. So let me get busy with that, and then we'll do a pattern and come up with some kind of a stylish design on that, and you'll get to see it. Paradise out. Okay, folks, next step is to do this side fin going back, the side skirt. Okay, so because from here, which is where this extension ends to where, or where it starts to where it ends, is 48 inches. So when we make the side, it's got to start here and go back, because that's 48. It'll be 48 to the back of this piece. If you go up here, you'll be 3 inches short of this one, which we can't be short. We got to be the same length at the end. So, and then we have to be flat against here. All this has to be flat against here and epoxied and nailed. This is all 2x4 here. All this area here and all this area here is 2x4 as far as where the wood goes. This is not 2x4 here. Okay, this is. This side's not. So there's no nails here. This is only epoxy. I may put some 1-inch nails in here to go through, because I got another 3/8 piece of plywood and a 1/4 inch. So that's 3/8, 5/8, and 3/8 is 8/8, 1 inch. Okay, so I could do that. Okay, so that's the game plan. So I'm just going to make one big square rectangular piece that goes on here. This, I'm going to shave this off with the saber. So I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to slice down here. I'm actually going to slice it from this side here, slice it down. I'm going to cut here, same thing here. I'm going to come in here somehow, slice it down, cut here, and then this piece should come off, and this piece should come off, and then this piece will stay, because that's our one of our hoops, and we want to leave that there. And then I'll cut a hole in that piece that goes on here that'll just be this shape, and it'll fit right in. Then we'll epoxy all this in, and it'll, just like car repair, Bondo and stuff, it'll look like one piece once it's all painted and finished. So that is it. We're going to make it right now. Paradise out. Okay, folks, so we managed to slice this off here. See that molding? We've made it flush with this, and then we cut it here so that this bracket stays connected nicely, and we cut this off so it's flush with this going across. So our plywood, the siding, the skirting will go from here down to here, across here, and out 3 feet to the end of that piece of wood right there, into that piece of wood, that end there. It'll go to that end, and then we do the other side, same song, second verse. So, and this went nicely. I just slid it down, the saw cut it flush with this. Really, I mean, I don't know if I even need to grind it. It's so perfectly flush. You can see the epoxy from because epoxy is between this and this piece of wood. You can see the epoxy. I just shaved right between the epoxy. Same thing here. Perfect. Wow. Amazing. Another amazing boat feat. Okay, folks. So you know that we left this here on the side, and we're going to cut this out so that the plywood goes over that and around it. See that shape? So we mapped it out here. The first time I mapped it, I put it on the wrong side, because you know you're working optical illusion flipping it. So it should have been on this side. So, but that's why we put this back up there. Measure twice, cut once. So anyway, that was on the wrong side. This is the right side. So we've put it up there and measured it, marked it, everything. So this should be pretty close. So we're going to cut that out. Right now I'm going to drill a hole in here, big enough for my saw blade to go in, my jigsaw blade to go in. And then we'll cut this little shape out and see how she slaps onto the side there. You'll get to see it. You'll be one of the first. Paradise out. Hey everybody. Okay, we made the cut off the pattern. We tried to match it up. It was off just a hair. So I got to take another, say about 1/8 of an inch off here, maybe 3/16 and an 1/8 of an inch off this back side. And then she should slide on nicely. Okay, we're going to do that with saber saw. We'll be back. Paradise out. Making the keyhole. Okay folks, so the keyhole is made right there. And we'll epoxy all this stuff in. This is a big gap here, but we'll have to put some tape or something on the backside and fill in so that's smooth. But as long as it's got backing like the hole here, we just shove the epoxy in and smooth it all out, and then that'll look like one piece. And then this is the way it goes back here. From here, see, from here we'll cut a design of some kind going back there so that the sides has a skirt. But yeah, that's important. And we're all flush up here, up against here. We're all notched, so we're coming out level. Honey, can you lift this up, see if it comes out level with that? Lift it up. That's the side. Okay, now, yeah, now we're up. Now we're flush with that top. Okay, that's where we want to be. Okay, and it fits. Go up. Go up with that. Okay, now it fits. Yeah, so when we epoxy this, we want this to be flush with this top here. See right here? Because that's where the next plywood comes out. That's where that piece of plywood slides out on top of there. Okay, folks, what we did, we got, of course, this is the bottom. This is the, whatever side you want to say this is. It's upside, the boat's upside down, so it's the port's starboard side. But we took that one because this is an exact, should be an exact copy of this other side. And we laid it, we fitted it onto the side here after we cut it, and it fit nicely. And so we just laid that one on top of here and drew cookie cutter fashion the shapes that we have to cut, because it's a mirror image of that one. And so that's what we drew. We drew a mirror image so that the A side, which is this side of the plywood, would be out. And this is the B side, the side that would be in. And so we're good to go. We just got to cut it. Didn't have to measure, didn't have to hold it up there, didn't have to do anything. We just took that one, made sure it fit on this side, fits on both sides. So it's a mirror image, and we can use it for our cookie cutter, folks. Paradise out. Okay, so the other side, what I did this time, I just drilled all the corners out, so when the saber saw goes down and turns, you can just make turns. You don't have to do all this back and forth seesaw, hee-haw stuff and get around here. This is a rounded curve. I can make that one easy with the saber saw, but little tip here. Drill all of your corners. It's faster and easier than fighting and wiggling and trying to work your saber saw so you can get a right angle turn. So tip, boater's tip. I don't know what number that would be. Let's just say it's a boater's tip. Paradise. We cut this notch 14 inches. Everything's good to go. Mirror image of that one. Paradise out. Okay, folks, we did it so far. We've got everything prepped. We sanded this. We roughed it up with some 60 grit, some other kind of a grinder wheel that's really rough, maybe 40 grit, something like that. Roughed it up to give the epoxy. This is the part, this is right at the back of the boat. Ignore that plywood. It's laying on the boat. We're at the back of the hull. And this is where we're going to epoxy and nail the extension. This is the bottom. So we prep the surface here. We ground it. We give rough little lines in it and stuff to give the epoxy something to grip to. We've cut all of our pieces here. This is the bottom section here. This is the side section, and this is the other side section. And this is the top section here. And then we've drawn the bottom section for the other hole. However, we want to make sure it's a close enough match that when we cut it, it's going to work. So we haven't cut it yet. We'll do that when we get to that hole. So we got the bottom, we got all the pieces here for this hole. These are the pieces for this hole, with the exception, that's all the pieces, with the exception of the very back plate, which is roughly the size of this, here. That goes on the end back here. 3 feet back, goes on the end and caps it at the back. But everything else is cut. We will on the sides, those are also that we cut the sides and marked them, cookie cutter marking pattern for that one, but we didn't cut the holes in it. So we'll do that. And we didn't notch the top because the distance between here and here on this hole is 2 inches. The distance on that one is 1.5. And the position relative to this, this is a little bit off, which, it's a handmade boat. So yeah, it's not going to be exact machined copy. So when we do that, we're not going to cut the holes yet, but we'll do that when we get there, and we can make whatever minor adjustments we need to make. Hey everybody, we are putting the sides on today, and probably the bottom, which looks like the top because the boat's upside down, of course. But where this goes on the side here, we don't want just like a square angle, so we're going to try to curve it so that there's a curve, like and again, we're upside down, going to go curved like here, from here, and make a nice curve here, hence this. But the curve, I tried to draw it by hand, but of course I'm not an artist, so I can't draw it by hand. So now I've got a bucket, and we're going to kind of use this bucket to make our curve with, and then kind of hand line the rest of it in. So that's our game plan. Okay folks, we are putting the side on. What we did before we applied the epoxy, we pre-drilled for the nails, because between this wood and the inside 2x4s, there's a layer of epoxy. And when you try to nail through epoxy, it's like nailing through concrete. And these are little bronze nails that just bend at the slightest amount of angle or resistance. So we pre-drilled everything. You can see our put little blue dots here while I drill below that, because that was too close and the hammer might hit this and chip this. So I dropped down when I drill. But I pre-drilled all the holes, and then we put this up here, supposedly directly on top of the holes we had pre-drilled. That's the important thing. It's got to line up perfectly, or this hole doesn't line up with the hole in here. But it's working great so far. And so we're nailing them all in. We're using 2-inch nails, and that gives us about an inch or more than an inch and a quarter into the 2x4 on the inside of this hole here. There's no 2x4 here. This is only 3/8 inch plywood on the opposite side. But this is where the step is, and the steps and the side here is all 2x4. So I got to finish nailing these. We're getting some oozing here, because as I nail, it pushes in and oozes that excess out. So I got to get busy. We got our hole here. We'll finger roll all this stuff and make it nice, and as nice as you can get it. And then we'll do the other side, same thing. I took a little tiny drill bit. I didn't use a big drill bit. I used a very small drill bit, much smaller than this nail, maybe half the diameter of this bronze nail. It's just a little tiny high-speed steel bit. See it right there? See it right there? Very small. This is your nail, and this is your bit. I know in the camera it looks about the same size, but it's not. See, and this nail is square, by the way. It's a square nail. It's not a round nail. And I didn't go the whole depth of this nail. I only went this deep, just so I could get through the epoxy layer between the hole, between this plywood and the 2x4, because that's all I'm trying to do is just puncture, make a clean hole to get through the epoxy, dried hard epoxy from when we built this boat. So anyway, I gotta get busy. Epoxy drying, and I need to get it all mashed out, and she needs to clean this grate. Paradise out. Here we go. Paradise out. I'm trying to get a picture, but that's how far out back it sticks. 3 feet, almost 3 feet. Paradise out. There's the epoxy lady. Okay, folks, we're up close. There's the putty girl. We got her putty. We got her epoxied. Okay, and we got all the nails in, and we're countersinking these nails because you know they're exposed. This is water, and where's that concrete nail? What we do, we take a concrete nail. Used to, I would like put it on the point like that and drive and tap the head and try to make it go in. But if you lay the thing down and put the head on the head of the nail, that you're going to countersink and hit that head, that's the easiest way to get it in there. It goes in much easier. So this is a concrete nail, so they're harder than an iron nail, but an iron nail will work fine. Eventually, you'll smash an iron nail's head flat. Concrete nails you can do a lot more work with them. So anyway, these are all countersunk, and then we epoxy over the heads and smooth them all out. We finger roll this again to make it blend with the boat. This is non-sag, but you can see it sagging there. I got to get my fingers all wet and then push it back up until it firms. You know, epoxy has a timer and it'll time out and get hard. So until it stops, gets firm enough that it doesn't sag, I've got to keep babysitting it. And this one too, it's trying to slide down the board. So a little bit of babysitting, and then we'll be good to go. So Paradise out. Okay, folks, this is what the back will kind of look like here. It'll be this long with this thing sticking out. But of course hard to see because the sunlight and the shadows look like it's all camo. But yeah, this piece goes on the bottom. This is the bottom, of course, and this is the side, and we'll cut this side here in a design. You know, we'll have a like come down here like this and make a design here, and then end it over here somewhere. So anyway, it's hard to see. I can't get down because there's a hill here, so I can't get down there even level with that. Unless I'm sitting in the dirt, and I don't want to sit in the dirt. So anyway, this is our extension. So interesting. We'll see how this all works out, and hopefully our experiment is successful. And we'll be back. We're going to go do the other side now. The bottom is not done. We just laid it on top of the side just so we could kind of envision and show you guys what things look like. And again, the shade and the light makes it look like camouflage, so it's hard to really tell shapes and sizes and get perspective. So anyway, Paradise out. Okay, folks, we got both sides on. And of course, this is not what the side will look like. There'll be like a cut curve, and it'll roll. You know, there'll be a curve going like somehow, some kind of a curve, some kind of a design. It's not going to be a straight line with a right angle. All right, folks, what we did today, we didn't really accomplish a lot, but we had to go get lumber, and we had to go get epoxy, so we had to make several stops on the way, and that kind of cut into our production time. So anyway, we did get some extra epoxy, and we got some 1x2 Lawaan, 4 pieces, 10 foot long. So because I've decided, you know, we got these chines here, and when I put the back piece on, it's not going to have any chines originally, but then I thought, well, you know, if it drags on the bottom, if it needs, because this is just a sheet of plywood across here, so there's no structure under it really to give it any strength, so it can bow, it can do whatever. So I said, well, I'll go ahead and add the chine. So I have one down here. Well, I'll just continue on with those down here with that 1x2 Lawaan wood that we bought. It was $3 for a 1x2x10. Okay, we are now at the step where we're going to put our chines or strakes on here, like this, like that. We've drawn the lines. We've already measured and centered them and got them going straight and stuff, and then lined with these ones. So these will be epoxied. We put epoxy on the plywood here, and then we put epoxy on this side here, and then we put it on there. All right, everybody, we got it. We got the chines on our extension. So these are the chines. They're all epoxied and nailed. They all line up. This is not attached permanently yet. It's just laying there while the epoxy dries. Yeah, these go up against those chines. They're higher than those chines, which is fine, because I'm trying to make this rear part a lifting body. Not much, but because of just its inherent design, it's higher than this is. So I don't know if you can see this little ramp here, how this ramp goes down. Well, I've got rid of my stepped hull because the way I had it built, it won't work. You're supposed to have a hole going all the way across here where air can enter from the side and get in behind here and make bubbles and airstream for the less friction. Well, I got these are in the way. No air can get in there. So now I'm just creating turbulence back here, dragging. So that's a bad thing. So I'm going to, so I put these ramps here, all these, everywhere there could have been, where there was a step, I put a ramp. And so vice versa, this is going to come up to this blue line here, but these points here are going to come up to here, this blue line. See the difference here to here? That's the distance here to here. Well, I'm going to ramp this one the other way, try to make like a lifting body for the tail. And I have to. I could leave it dull like that, but that's just not streamlined. So in order for it to be streamlined, now there'll be like a little cavity here. I have no idea what that's going to do to friction in the water, or drag. You might call it drag, but I'm not going to deal with it. I could level it completely out to here. I could level it and just make it one straight thing from here, because this step here is the same height as this step here. So I can level that all out. That's a lot of epoxy. The other thing that's going to happen too is these chines are higher than these chines. So this is going to butt up to here, and then I'm going to ramp from here up to there, and then, you know, epoxy these. I got to put a 45 bevel on the outside of all these along the top edge. Those, like here, I've 45'd it just so we don't have sharp edges. And other than that, we're good to go. Okay, folks, today, well, yesterday, you know, we got all these guys mounted on here, epoxied and nailed, and all the holes, the epoxy holes filled with epoxy, like this little, I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, so today we're putting a 45 on these here. You can see that 45. This doesn't have it. This is still a sharp 90. Here, this one we've done all the way. It's got the 45 on both sides. Okay, folks, we got all the beveling done. You can see these are all little rounded edges here. Rounded. 45 actually. I round a little bit. I take another little quick hit along this sharper edge down at the base, give it a little more roundness. But you can see we got them rounded just like those. Those are all rounded. It's the same thing. That's a 1x2 Lawaan. This is a 1x2 Lawaan. And okay, we got everything lined up. We got 3 inches from the outside here of this plywood to the outside of this plywood. There, here. We've lined up down this line straight into that front little side fin. We've done the exact same thing here, 3 inches from here over to here. And of course C-clamped it down there, C-clamped it, and we've aligned this line here straight up with the other front side fin. So we're good to go. So we're marking where we're going to put the epoxy. Okay, honey? Did you mark it yet? Okay, mark it. She's going to mark it. Yes. All right, now we're going to draw the other line, honey. Go ahead and draw it. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. How about the going across out here? It just ends where the fin is?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're good to go. We got all of our lines drawn, and you do the one across the back because we're going to epoxy all that front. Okay, so we are good to go. Now we can take this off, these clamps off. We can flip it and move it up there so it's not in the way here, and then we'll epoxy the tops of these 2x2s and this top of this 3/8 plywood, and we'll epoxy the stripe that we put on there and this front part here. So we're going to use a lot of epoxy here. So we're going to get busy mixing. Paradise out. Okay, everybody. Look at that 15-foot outer hull, huh? Well, it's not finished, but we got the back end connected, or the bottom of the back connected. Not the top and not the end, the back end. But we got all of our chines, or strakes, whatever you want to call them. Keels, some people call them keels. You can call them ribs. Again, whatever you want to call them. But we got those on yesterday. Then we put this one on here today. Got everything lined up. Epoxied it. Had to drill holes for every nail. We got nails all over the place. We really go nail happy with this stuff here because it's got to be super duper in there. And these bronze nails, I don't know how good they hold, and I don't know how much epoxy actually follows the nail down in the hole, or if any of it does, if it just wipes it off, and I don't know. So anyway, we countersink all these holes too. You can see they're countersunk. It's kind of dark here. It's 6 o'clock p.m., of course. But we got all these guys lined up. Got our lines here lined up with this guy. Outer, same thing here. Got it lined up. At the back, at the front, our sides are straight in line with the front side fin on both sides. Our strakes, if you look at them, they line up pretty dang good with the existing ones, pretty dang good. My lens is, going to make it kind of like a fisheye thing, so they're not going to look perfectly straight in the camera. We're going to see a little warpage, but still, that's as good as you can get with what we got. And tomorrow we will epoxy. We'll turn these wooden strakes into epoxy coated strakes with about 1/8 of an inch thick or 3/16 or more layer of epoxy on all these guys, so the bottom of the ocean doesn't tear them up. The epoxy is very resistant to abrasion. The paint epoxy enamel is just so thin that if you scratch it, you're through to the primer, and then you scratch again, you're through to the epoxy lacquer thinner waterproofing. They scratch it again, then you're through all the way to the wood. Well, we don't like that. So anyway, we're leaving all the ooze here because we're just going to fill in over that, like I said, with a ramp going to this other additional thickness. It's 3/8 of an inch higher than this one. These are 3/8 of an inch higher, and so we'll just ramp it. Put a ramp here. Also, just like I showed you before, again, it's dark, so the camera's not really doing good. So anyway, we're done. We're done getting all our nails in. We're done countersinking them. We're done epoxying everything. We're good to go. So tomorrow, like I said, we'll just epoxy these rails, like those rails, or whatever you want to call them, strakes, chines, ribs. Some people call them keels, okay? Whatever. Epoxy, a bunch of it, a whole bunch. So, and hand smoothing. Again, we'll use my little mold thing, my little I don't know what you call it, little stencil. I don't know. I made it the shape of this that leaves about a 3/16 gap all the way around, so you can slide it down there and it'll cookie cutter the shape of these strakes. So you'll see tomorrow. Paradise. Here comes Lindy. Paradise. She got the extension cord. Paradise out. Okay, everybody. We are now epoxying the chines. And of course, the reason we're doing this is to make them, it's a protectant, it's a barrier to rocks and everything. This has already been epoxied about 1/8 of an inch thick or more, 3/16 to 1/8 of an inch thick of epoxy on here, because epoxy is super hard. And when you hit a rock or sand or whatever, it doesn't cut through the epoxy. It'll cut through a little bit of the paint, but that's it. So we slather on a bunch of epoxy. See, like that. It's all slathered on thick. And then we take our, honey, you can put this down here so it don't fall off. And then we take our little guide thing. I get it wet because epoxy doesn't stick to wet stuff very good, or at all, maybe. And then I use that as a guide. I stick this on the end and slide it down like that, and make the shape on there. And then after that, then I come back with my hands and smooth it even more, do a little more smoothing action. So I'm going to jump into that right now. So this is our template. This is the side we're using, it's smaller. This leaves it too thick. And so this one I cut to make right for these guys. Paradise template, epoxy, chine. Here we go. Paradise out. Okay, everybody, we got her. We got the sorry, excuse me, the underside done here, where we got everything attached. We got all the runners, strakes, chines, whatever you want to call them, done. We got the ramps done pretty nicely. They're all like even in a straight line. That's good. Goes down, goes up. I don't know again what's going to happen here, but we're pretty good here. We got our overlap on the plywood here. This is probably the best ramp here because it just goes up and there's no little lip here. See that little lip where it hits the plywood? Yeah, it's sagged down. It slides down. That's, even though it's not sagged epoxy, it'll still sag. See, this still sags out. I tried to ramp up here, but it just over time slowly sags. But that's anticipated. So I think we're good to go. I think everything turned out pretty good. I mean, we got all of our nail heads epoxied in, so water don't get into where the nails are. We're looking good. I got this thing done pretty good, this corner. I don't think I did the corner over there, though, which I wanted to do. And I think it was getting late at night and dark, so I may have missed it. But let's take a look around and see. Yeah, I missed it. I did. What I can do, because we're mixing epoxy, some non-sag, we're mixing it. See, this came over the edge here. I can grind that down some, just sagged over the edge right here. Again, this was at nighttime, and it was a rainstorm was coming here. And right the second we got our little tarpaulin on here, it started to raining, so we had to get out of here because you can't do anything in the rain. But yeah, we got a little bit of sag here. I'll grind that off. That's not a big deal at all. But our ramps again work pretty good. Pretty good ramp here. As good as a transition as I can expect with, in the conditions here. We blended it into here. It's blended all the way from here to here. That's this strake, and this is the new one starting here. You can see where the little rise is in there. So anyway, I think we're okay. I think we did good, as good as we could do, considering the storm and everything coming. Okay, folks, I put the sanding doodad on there, sanded it, hand sanded it with some 36 grit really rough paper to, number one, make traction action for when we put all the different coatings on here. Next coating we're going to do is epoxy lacquer thinner, and that's waterproofing. It'll go everywhere, all over the sides and inside, outside. We'll do the entire addition, the entire extension. Okay, folks, so for the epoxy lacquer thinner, for all this area that we have to do, I'm starting out with this. I think we're going to need more, but we're starting out with this, because you don't know until you start rolling stuff on and how far it lasts, because we just don't do it every day. We do it every 6 months or 2 months or whatever, you know. Okay, folks, we can't really see it, but we put the blobs of epoxy in here. I'll scoop them up for you. You can see them. See, there's a blob. See, about that much epoxy, and about, well, actually, there's another little blob here. See, so all this epoxy here, you can see it. We mix that up. We chop it up small as we can, and then we stir it up and stir it and stir it and stir it and stir it until it becomes totally dissolved into the amount of, and this is about a liter. I know, about a half a liter, maybe a little bit more of lacquer thinner in here with 2 scoops of epoxy. You saw it on the board there, so that's kind of an eyeball. That's the board size there. So anyway, I'm gonna let my wife do this. She's a better cook than me, so we'll let her do this. I'm just doing some basic chopping and letting you guys see. I can feel it in there, so I'm just chopping it into smaller chunks, because smaller chunks dissolve faster than bigger chunks. Okay, folks, you can probably see a difference. This is our first coat of epoxy lacquer thinner mixture, and you can see the whitishness, the cloudiness of the wood. You can see the wood looks cloudy, the color of the epoxy lacquer thinner. And I put it on the epoxy here too. I put it on everything just so it's a consistent coating. Yeah, we did the underside here. You can see a little bit, it's dark in here, so you can't see it as well. But yeah, all this gets done. The outside gets done. The underside of these get done. I need to do the underside of these better. I need to hit them more. And this side over here, we ran out. So I barely got it even wet. Barely. And some part of it may not even be wet. So I got to do this one extra. So anyway, we'll just keep on doing it. Like I said, that's the first batch, I'll say. It's more than one coat. It's about 2 or 3 rolling over it 2 or 3 times. Let's say 2 times. So that's probably like 2 coats. It's level here, fairly level, so things don't run off. The sides run down really fast because it's thin. You know, this is like a watery mixture with the, lacquer thinner, thinning everything out. It's just very watery, but as you can see, it's got plenty of epoxy content to it by the colors. Okay, this is the second bucket of epoxy lacquer thinner mixture on here. So as you can see, it should be more white, beige, I guess you would really call it. That's what color it is. So we're rolling it on more and more and more. Next coat will be probably our last one, so that'll be in reality maybe 6 coats, because we roll it all on, then we go back and roll it on another one, and it dries pretty well. The inside here, yeah, we're getting it inside here too. See that? Same thing, getting more white. It's dark in here, so you can't really see everything that well, but it's getting done. And we can do the inside too once we flip the boat. And there's the upside down version of the 15-foot outer hull. And that's the upside down version of the 12-foot. So we got to add another 3 feet to that one. The same process here. We got all the wood ready to go and everything. Only you don't have the end cap cut, but I think that's the extra piece of wood we have to make all the other little pieces we need with, but all the other pieces are cut. Anyway, we're still got one more layer of epoxy lacquer thinner we're going to put on here, and then tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, tomorrow is a rainy day, supposedly. But whatever day is next available that's not raining, we'll come back and do the epoxy primer, like that gray that's on this front portion of the boat. And then after that, then we'll put the DIY copper coat. You got to see that. I don't know if it's going to work, but I bought copper. It's actually medical grade copper that you put in copper supplements, for, like they have magnesium, vitamins, mineral supplements like that. Well, there's copper supplements too. However, I found out too much copper, so don't go out and buy a copper supplement just because I have copper supplement powder. Too much copper causes some serious problems, so just leave your copper alone. Probably might need less of it. I don't know where you get it, what food gets it to you, but don't just go out and start taking copper supplements. But anyway, mine's super fine, powdery, dusty, just like so fine that it's great for mixing in with the paint. My epoxy enamel paint. And sea creatures, barnacles, algae, the little grassy green stuff that grows on the hulls of boats, the shells that we scraped off of here. Copper is, they don't like that. And once they start getting in contact with that, they'll either die or let go, or they won't grow no more. So it really inhibits what they do and how they mess up the bottom of your boat. So anyway, and it's all impregnated into the paint, so it's not harming the environment. It's just anything that tries to adhere to your boat won't do it very well. So anyway, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. These look like old Cadillac fins or something like that, but we could do like Cadillac fin on there. Not really, but we could. I'm not going to, but we could. Paradise. By the way, I had a 58 Cadillac Eldorado Baritz when I was in high school. It was actually my dad's car, but he let me drive it because he drove his truck. He didn't care to drive the Cadillac no more. He used to use that to pick up girls and stuff, and then he got married and was out of the picking up girl business and figured I was in high school. I need to get in the picking up girl business, so he says, "Hey, drive the Cadillac convertible." Eldorado Baritz convertible, 1958. Is a cool car. Huge beast, 5,800 pounds, and it had a 365 cubic inch tri-power. So it had 3 2-barrel carburetors. I think it had 335 horsepower, but at 5,800 pounds, it wasn't fast. It was just, it was a tugboat, basically. Anyway, no fins. I'm going to shape that somehow, make a curve. Like, you can imagine that, right? Like that, like a little curve or something going to the end. Huh? See that? Huh? Looks better like that already. Paradise out. Okay, folks, this is the third bucket of that's water, but that over there bucket is epoxy lacquer thinner coating we put on here. So you can see it's almost whitish, beigey. It's really beigeish, and looking good. I think we're good. Okay, we finished the waterproofing yesterday. As you can see, we got a pretty good coating on here. You can barely see any wood through it. A couple of places here you can, but that's okay. This will all be epoxied. And, well, this actually was epoxied with this, so it's smeared on here. So we got plenty of waterproofing on here. We've got that part done. So now we're doing the PVC edge. And this isn't really a performance thing or anything like that. It's just a protection thing. We put it on here, as you can see here and here. All these edges have got this PVC on here, and they're covered in epoxy primer. They'll be painted and all that stuff too, so you won't really see the raw PVC. And then, so basically what I do, I cut here. I cut an angle on the underside here because it'll hit the side of the boat. I cut an angle only on the right side here, and then I fold it like that, and this comes out straight. This is at, of course, the corner. And then I slide it on all the way, and then I mark it and cut it at the end here. And then we'll get some epoxy mixed up, and we'll epoxy this bad boy on here. Alrighty, we got the first one on. See it right here? First one on. We just blend it all into there. We kind of reinforce this little joint here, this corner, and then we just do as clean of a epoxy job as we can going down the side. And again, we're not perfect at this, and we don't have to be. It's a boat, and this is the bottom. Nobody will ever see it. So anyway, we got her. We got the first one. Now we're going to do the next one. Hey everybody, you may be wondering what you're doing now. Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing now. We're going to make ramps on the back of the boat here, because again, the back of the boat hangs down and we're trying to lift it up. You know, they have trim tabs on boats that go up and down. They're big stainless steel plates, usually almost 8 or 10 inches wide and maybe 8 or 10 inches long. And they have little electric, I think they're electric motors that run them up and down, or pretty much have to be, yeah, run them up and down. Well, we're going to always have a ramp going from here down to here, similar to these other ramps. It's part of my ramp binge. I'm binging on ramps right now. Okay, now you can see my little wooden blocks here, my little dams. Basically, it's a dam so that the epoxy doesn't, again, slide, just run over the back. I can ramp it and babysit it. We have to babysit this epoxy. Once you get it shaped like that, and this is non-sag, so it's thicker. It does sag. It will sag. These all sag. Everything I do sags. But if you babysit it throughout, it's maybe 30 minutes cure time, where it's firm enough that it'll hold its own. And even at that time, you'll still get a little bit of a sag. So I'll kind of overlay these. I'll kind of go over a little bit higher. So when they sag down to the appropriate height. I'll make it about 6 inches ramp. So from about here all the way to, of course, the back of here. This is going to be encased. The bottom, of course, will be epoxy to here. And we're going to put a couple of nails through here, a couple of 1-inch nails through here, here, and there. Well, here we can't do a 1-inch nail because we got a 2-inch. We might could pinch a 1-inch nail through here. Yeah, one through here, right before this 2-inch, 2x2. So yeah, we'll get one here, 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 one here. And I don't know what the benefit of that is, other than just, I think you should. I think I should. So I'm going to do it. So anyway, we've angled these down because this is going to ramp down and ramp over. This will be rounded, rolled, rounded. Here, that'll be a nice rounded edge here. It'll just roll around to here and then ramp down. Kind of hydrodynamically designed. So this is kind of a late thought. I've thought about this before and I've dismissed it, and I've thought about it and dismissed it and thought about it and dismissed it. And last night I thought about it and I decided I'm not going to dismiss it because I keep thinking about it. And I kind of like the idea of having that little bit of lift. I mean, we put hydrofoils on the engines. We put this extension on here. And we're doing everything we can do to get the back up. And if the back is up too high, you can always adjust the engine trim, because it's got a manual little rod with about 6 or so holes that you can adjust on an arc like that, and the engine sets down on it, so you can raise that one up and up and up and up and up, about an inch at a time. So if we need to bring the back end down some, we can easily do that. So anyway, okay. Last time you saw, we had some globs of epoxy here, I think. And now we have ramps at the end of the hull here to try to provide some lift at the back of this. It's a 3/4 inch lift here, almost 1 inch. Well, probably 1 because you add the epoxy. And it's 8 inches out to here. So from here to the back of here, it's 8 inches. And this part's flat going across here, this 2-inch strip. That's the wooden block that we kind of dammed it up with so it doesn't try to run over. So you can see there's these lines in there. Those are crude, but nonetheless, they should direct water flow straight back instead of, especially on this side, instead of letting it slide out the sides. And what purpose that is, I don't know. But on the airplanes, B-52s and stuff, we had little things that would stick up. We called them vortex generators, and they would direct airflow over to the parts of the wing that didn't really have natural airflow, or there was for some reason where the engines might be, or where there's some disturbance, it would direct the airflow over to there, so you get equal airflow across the wing. So I'm just trying to channel the water straight back. That's what I want. I want to go straight back. Whether that means anything or not, I don't know, but I did it. So you can see the little channels, and again, they're crude. They're just my finger lines. I just took my fingers and made lines there. Okay, the morning after, and it rained last night, so we're kind of drying it off with that little rag there. We only got a little puddle here and a little puddle here because the rain. We've got a tarpaulin here, and the wood, we had that piece of plywood on top, which is this part of that hull. We've drawn on there. We just need to cut it and put it on there. Okay. So anyway, looked okay. However, we screwed up a little bit. And what it was is we need to put a 2x2 here across here. Well, we nail through here into the 2x2. Now we've got epoxy here. So now what we have to do, we still have to put the 2x2 here across here, but we have to drill some holes through here and hopefully not crack this epoxy when we drill and nail. And when you nail, you know, as you're getting the nail all the way through, the last hit is on the epoxy. So we can't do that. We have to leave the nail about 1/16 of an inch up, and then we have to get like a punch and hammer the punch on top of the nail head back down and recess those nail heads, and then we got epoxy over them. Okay, folks, we tried to drive a nail through this. You can see how thick the epoxy is there, almost 1/4 of an inch thick. We tried to drill an appropriate size hole, but the problem is the hole that we drill, unless it's the same size as the nail, it bends the nail. It's so hard. So what we did, we countersink these, and then we don't have to go through all that epoxy. Then we drive that nail and the head of the nail down into there. We punch it, use a punch and drive it down deep in there. Then we overlay this with epoxy. We fill this in with epoxy and seal it completely off all the way across. And so that's going to be the technique to kind of work around for my screw up. Alrighty, we are fixing my mistake that I made. We're going to put this 2x2 under here, which I should have done before I epoxied any of this stuff on. I should have put it there and nailed it, and then put everything on top of it. And that way it would have been properly lined up and nailed and everything. So we're putting the epoxy under here, and we're putting epoxy on this, and then we're going to put that under there. We're going to C-clamp it with those guys. We're going to put little pads here so the C-clamp doesn't try to crack our epoxy here. When you clamp down on it, we'll clamp down on here. And then we'll nail it. We'll fill these holes with epoxy. See these countersunk holes? We'll fill them with epoxy, and then we will nail through them. Well, because you can't nail down in that hole, we take this nail here, and we take that head, and we put it on top, and then we hit here, and this nails down, pushes the nail all the way down in the hole, pull it out, and then we backfill whatever epoxy. But it had epoxy in there first, so everything is pretty much engorged in epoxy, the nail head. And it's a waterproofing thing, so we don't want water in any of the wood, so we do super seal everywhere. So anyway, I got to start putting the epoxy on here. She's almost done, so I better get busy. Paradise out. Okay, folks, we got it clamped here. We got it epoxied. You can see it dripping down here. We need to clean that off, scrape it off. We've got this inset so that this end piece of plywood, 3/8 inch thick, will fit under there, and it's flush with the back of the plywood, this piece of plywood here, not with the epoxy that's thicker. And the same here. We got the same thing going on here, right there. We got our depth gauge there with this little block of 3/8 inch, because that's what this is. And that's for our end cap when we put the end on. Okay. So now we will, here honey, get this drip in the center. Okay, we'll get that, scrape that off. Scraping this big glob off of the back there so it don't drip down on our feet or shoes or just on the ground and waste it. And we twirl it around like spaghetti. And then there's one more here, and I can just get that off because that's a piece of cake. Okay, wipe it on the board there. Okay, get that little hair, little snizzle. Okay, now I'm going to take this epoxy that she just got off of there, and we're going to fill that hole right there with it. See this epoxy on the corner? We're going to stick it right in. Oops, I got it on both sides here. I need to fill that hole with it. I don't need to have any over there. Okay, so now, because this is a test and I haven't done this before, we're going to nail through that epoxy and into the wood. We're using one of these big, and again, these bronze nails are square. There's already a hole drilled like a pilot hole, and I got to hammer that in. Honey, hand me the big hammer, and I can't do that and hold the camera, so Paradise out. You'll see the end result. Paradise out. Okay, folks, so we did it. We drove the nail through the full hole of epoxy, and we got it down pretty much flush with the top of this epoxy bulge. Then I put this on the top of the hammer, top of the head of the nail, and then I took my hammer and hammered on this point and drove it down the rest of the way till it's seated good. You can see it in there. Now we're going to shove all this epoxy in there, seal it completely off, and boom, done deal. Sweet, huh? And that was my test, because I didn't know if this would work or not. Some of the stuff I do is like rocket science. You don't know if you've seen SpaceX. They blow them up all the time. Well, I haven't blown up any boats yet, but you never know. We're not in the water yet. Well, we're in and we're out. So anyway, Paradise out. We got to do the rest of these. Same technique. Alrighty, we got them all done. You can see the little round circles where we plugged them with the fresh epoxy here and tried to smooth them out. I need to smooth that a little bit more over there. It's not that this is going to slow down the boat at that mile an hour or anything, but anyway, each of these has their own little blob of epoxy on it, and then spread around and smoothed out like a little mushroom type cap on it. Ants are coming. They think this is a party, an ant party for some reason. It's not. We don't need ants running around. So I'm going to get my hand wet. Somebody took the water away without. Okay. A little smooth here. You can smooth this stuff if you get it just right. You can smooth it so it just looks like a razor thin edge of epoxy. But That's the way I like it to be. It's personal. Whatever you like, you can do. Okay, folks, today is epoxy primer day. So we got everything done. We got our ramps built in, our little trim tabs, I guess. Permanent trim tabs. We got this 2x4, 2x2 nailed in with our holes drilled in here and then plugged with epoxy all. And now I'm doing some sanding on this epoxy because it's kind of smooth and we want our epoxy primer to stick to it really good. So as you can see, I'm hitting it with some 36 grit sand paper, and that roughs it up so it gives something to kind of get its claws into. So I'm going to do that, continue sanding all this stuff and roughing it up, just preparing it for the epoxy primer, which is this gray is the epoxy primer. We did this part and then we decided to add this on. Okay, folks, let the painting begin. We're already starting to paint this extension. Lindy's doing the sides, the outside of the sides and both sides, and I'm doing this top back. I may help her some if I get done before she does. But see, we're getting that part done there. You'll see it better when I'm on the other side because I got a wall and a tree and everything's in my way. I can't get the camera back nicely, but it doesn't appear to be running yet. So this first coat is going on nicely, and she said it's not running on her side. I'm kind of crazy with paint, so I may get some runs in my side, but I just come back and sop them up, roll them out, and then use it to finish some area that's not done yet. So I just picked that paint up. So anyway, there's my roller. We already mixed the hardener there and the paint there. We did about half of what we have here, hoping just to see if that's enough to do this. I think it might be. And if not, we got the other half there left, and then we got to buy some more before we can do that boat and that boat. So that hole and that hole. So Paradise out. I got to get busy. This is epoxy paint, and it's chemically bound to dry on its own, or because of the chemical mixture. Paradise out. All right, looks camouflaged, doesn't it? Well, it's just the leaves the sun coming through the leaves on the tree makes it hard for you guys to see what I'm up to. But we just put a second coat of epoxy primer on. Yesterday, we got ran out by the rain, and we quickly threw up these little tarpaulin pieces to kind of cover this corner because the rest of the boat's covered with this longer tarpaulin reasonably well. But this little corner, like a little diagonal, like a 30-degree slice across there, wasn't. And we got a few raindrops on there, but it was fine. Like 8 drops, not a big wet spot. Okay, folks, we got the last coats of epoxy primer on the extension. And then, of course, we went a little bit beyond it right here just to have a good overlapping of the epoxy primer coats that we originally did. So it'll turn out to be like a dull gray like that. The primers are dull finish, and the enamels are the epoxy enamel is a really slick, shiny, almost mirror-like gel coat like finish. Really shiny, slick looking, feeling, texture, everything about it. I like it. So anyway, there we are, longer and primered. And after this, we need to do the copper coat, and I'm waiting for the copper to come in. I ordered it from Shopee. It's like Amazon here. We have Shopee and Lazada, and I guess Temu is also out and about as far as online purchasing of stuff you can't normally get anywhere else, and getting better deals and a lot more choices. So anyway, we ordered previously. I ordered copper oxide, which is like a black powder dust. If you look at the plastic bag it comes on, You can, and you get it in the light, reflective light. You can see the copper color reflecting from the plastic bag, but in normal light, it just looks black for the oxide. Now the other stuff that I ordered, it's raw copper, so it's going to have the copper goldish color to it, and that should be coming today or tomorrow, I'm guessing. And then maybe we can put a coat on there. What I want to do is mix it, so I see what color ultimately comes out and get the proportions right, because I don't know what the proportions are. They actually, in the copper coat, I think they put a kilo per gallon, or maybe 2 kilos per gallon, which is a ton of copper in there. And I have 4 kilos total, 2 of the oxide and 2 of the raw copper. I will have the raw copper as soon as it arrives. And I got to paint this hole, the bottom, and about an 8-inch or 10-inch stripe down the side of the copper coat, and the same on that hole, and the same on that hole. So you can see, I don't know how many gallons that's going to take, because I haven't painted anything yet. And so we'll see how that proportions out. And I'm just doing, seat of the pants stuff here, because I don't have any real, I've Googled it, and I don't know, they kind of beat around the bush or start talking about something else before they tell you what the proportion per gallon or per liter, whatever metric or U.S. imperial type measurement system you're using. I'm an imperial guy. That's a gallon down there, or 4 liters, pretty close, but I call it a gallon. So anyway, and 4 liters is extremely close. 0.946 is the amount of what a quart is to a liter. So it's 946. It's 56 hundredths of a liter less. So you can see it's not even a tenth of a cup between the two. So there we go. Primer done. Paradise. Well, let me get down here at the end. I'll give you the long shot. It's more fun, I think, from the long shot. You can see this. It took about, what do we have here, honey? About a half a gallon?
Yeah.
To paint what we painted here, which is about, let's say, 5.5 feet, 6 feet. No, 5.5 feet plus this side, which is 14 inches by 4 feet. And we didn't paint inside here at all, because we're not done doing our work there, and we need to do some more waterproofing of, number one, this board here, and whatever other boards. And we're definitely adding, there's going to be a lot more wood in there, plywood and stuff that hasn't been treated at all. And this side. And we do 2 coats, and then we'll typically, we'll roll on 2 coats real quick, and then we'll wait, and we'll roll on 2 more coats real quick. And then, because the rain came, we let that dry yesterday, and then we rolled on 2 more coats real quick, and then we let that dry to finger touch. I mean, really, it was a nice finger touch, and rolled on 2 more coats real quick. So, or 1 thick coat real quick. So anyway, that's about where we are now. So here is the length of this thing. Doesn't that thing look long? It looks long. But it went from 12 feet to 15 feet, so 3 additional feet. Paradise out.